Paul George on the market. This is news to exactly no one except apparently Pacers management. The Indy Star reported over the weekend the organization was, quote, surprised to hear George did not expect to re-sign with the team, which is sort of like taking a walk around your block in a driving thunderstorm and then being surprised your clothes are wet. Right? I mean, guess which team was not surprised? The Cleveland Cavaliers. Remember this hug at the end of the Pacers-Cavs series? I have no idea what sweet nothings LeBron was whispering in Paul's ear, but damn if it didn't look a lot like the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, come hang with us, bro, hug we saw at the end of that infamous Warriors series.
Yes.
We here at The Jump, also not surprised. We've been talking about the Cavaliers needing to at least explore a trade for PG since the day after Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Yep.
And that's because while PG would in no way solve all of Cleveland's problems against the Warriors, you are talking about a legitimately dangerous offensive player who could also, wait for it, be an effective defender against Kevin Durant. Cleveland could use someone like that other than LeBron James on the roster, even if it means still needing to go out and get some rim protection from somewhere. I don't know. The real question is, can the Cavaliers find a package to make a trade for Paul George work? I've heard a lot of finger wagging over the past 24 hours, noting that since any team besides probably the Lakers would be only renting Paul for the season, it's not worth giving up a long-term asset for him. And that may be true for anyone besides the Cavs, who are in a completely singular situation. LeBron James is turning 33 years old later this year. When his window closes, the Cavaliers' championship window also closes. There's no use holding a few things back for the future just so that, hey, 3 or 4 years from now, you can be a middling team instead of a lottery team. You're going to want to rebuild then. And then, of course, there's also the issue of LeBron's contract status. Guess who else is a one-year rental this year?
Who?
Yeah, LeBron James, who can opt out of his deal next summer.
Is that right?
If you don't make major moves now and LeBron gets thumped by the Warriors in next year's finals with basically the same team he had this year, do you really think he's staying? On the flip side, if you do get a guy like Paul George and a few more pieces and it actually works and PG and LeBron have just won the finals together and they're smoking cigars and they're watching JR dance around without a shirt on, do you really think either one of them is going anywhere? No. When you have a high-stakes player like LeBron, you need to make high-stakes moves. This would be one of them. So, boys, tell me, what would you give up to get Paul George?
Everything except LeBron and Kyrie Irving.
Really?
Yeah. Listen, if David Griffin came to me and he said, Coach, what do you think about this? We want to add PG-13 to the team. We're willing to give up everybody except those two guys. As a coach, if I'm Tyronn Lue, I'm saying absolutely. Absolutely. You give me a chance to win another championship with this group of guys. You add a piece that plays on both ends of the floor, just like you talked about, which means now they got one more guy that can make plays on the offensive end, can guard people on the defensive end. It still doesn't give you an advantage over Golden State because they have multiple guys, but at least gives you a better chance of matching them and winning the championship. So from a coach's standpoint, yes, I'm all in. I want to do that deal.
I wouldn't even go past. I'd offer Kyrie if that's available, if that's what gets it done. Now, it wouldn't just be Kyrie, Paul George, everyone go home. There has to be other things that would, on the Cleveland side, help that risk of what if Paul George leaves.
Right.
So I guess something in return there. But I think, again, too many guys that are concerned about one side of the floor and not the other, and Paul George at least does both. And I think that, like Coach said, I still take the Warriors, but this gives them a much better chance because now my best players can be out there on the floor playing on both ends.
As a coach, if you're Ty Lue, would you worry about if they do keep Kyrie and PG being able to work together, share the ball? That's a lot of guys who like the ball in their hands.
No, I wouldn't worry about it. I would look at the blueprint that just Golden State just did. You know, they had a guy who was ball dominant in Steph Curry. They bring in Kevin Durant. Curry says, listen, I'll take a little bit of a back seat in order to win a championship.
That was uncommon maturity from
No,
Steph Curry.
I agree with you.
You coach Kyrie Irving. Is he ready for that?
I think he's ready for that as well. He has a championship. He's been to the finals a few times. Does he want to make his name known as a champion for the rest of his career by winning multiple championships? Yes, he does. So does he give a little to get a PG-3? Absolutely, because it gives you a better chance to win.
Yeah. And look, everyone's throwing Kevin Love in here, and that is probably the most likely piece they have to move. That is not to say that Kevin Love was a disaster.
No,
there's all kinds of great things he did for them, including in the finals. It just didn't work.
They just have to look. That's not even if let's say Kyrie's the guy to go. That's not an indictment of Kyrie. That's just saying we're here. they're here. We need to close that gap somehow.
So this leads me to my next question. Let's say they pulled that off in some form or another. Byron, do you see this being enough versus the Warriors?
I see it being enough where they can get to a game 6 or 7.
Okay.
I don't see it being enough where they can win a championship based on just adding PG3. Because like Amit and I have been discussing, it gives them another guy that plays both ends of the floor.
So what else would they need?
They need another one.
Another one, yeah.
They need another one. I mean, if you want to match Golden State, you got to match him with the athleticism on the offensive end, also the athleticism on that defensive end. Right. Adding PG3 gives you one more guy, but you got to add another one if you really want to beat them in a 7-game series.
You either got to add another one, or the rest of your role players better be ready to do both. Okay. No more Iman Shumperts.
Right.
No more.
Although he was brought in for his defense mid-season or late season.
No, yes, he's good defensively. Offensively, they looked and they laughed every time he was open,
well,
right?
He took a lot of three-pointers that were
questionable. They said thank you.
Exactly. And no more Kyle Korvers.
Right.
And Darren Williams, where it's like, no more Darren Williams at all. And no more Kyle Korvers, who are on this side, but not on the other side. Right. You got to have guys that can do both. Now, if it's another star, that's obviously great. Right. But in lieu of that, you've got to get those guys. I mean, even a guy like, look, I know he's not worth $10 or $12 million or whatever it was he signed a year. But Matthew Dellavedova, at the very least, if I throw it to you, you're going to hit that shot.
Make a shot.
Right. You can make that shot. I can't have guys that are doing one side but not the other.